Sinead.
Hi, Lisa. How's it going?
It's good. We've just had a bank holiday. How are you?
Oh, you're lucky ducks. Ours is actually coming up this weekend. So still looking forward to that. And hopefully the rain will pass and we get some nice weather. Did you have a nice weekend? What'd you get up to?
Dog walking, and so out in the fresh air, and we had some sunshine. We did have some rain as well. It's just bank holiday behaviour, isn't it? Always get rain. And then I did a bit of self-development work. I did a wheel of life. You must do wheel of life with your clients.
Absolutely. Classic wheel of life. It's a good starting point for everybody, isn't it?
Yeah. And well, I thought we could actually have a go at doing it today and offer it out to other people and see what they come back with, because I'd be fascinated to see how other people receive that and what that feels like for them.
Absolutely. Let's do that. So let's describe firstly what it is, a wheel of life. So this is a very basic example.
Brilliant. Right? Here's one I made earlier.
A wheel of life is a wheel shape that you kind of cut into like 8, let's say for today's purposes, 8 segments, right?
Hi.
And then we label those segments of life. And the idea is that you score them from 1 to 10. So in the middle is 0 and on the outer edge is 10. And the idea is to see just how maybe smooth or bumpy your wheel of life is. Isn't that how it works, Lisa?
Yeah, and it's not an opportunity to beat yourself up, which is where I would tend to go to, whereas Sinead is our little Miss Sunshine. She's more likely to look at the positive stuff. But I didn't use it as a stick to beat myself with. I just really wanted to take a snapshot of where my life was. I wanted to look back at where I'd come as well, so that I could big myself up for the progress that I've made and then set goals for the future. So it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah, I think it's such a good suggestion, because I hadn't really thought about it and done it in a long time until 5 minutes ago. And, you know, and I do it with people all the time. So it is something to revisit, you know, and I do like to put some sunshine out there where I can. But you're right, like there is an element of like, oh, what's going on in that particular area of my life? And as HSPs, we are very prone to being highly self-critical, you know, so we just have to be aware of that and aware of the fact that, you know, we want to bring some self-compassion to this exercise, don't you think?
Absolutely. Yeah. But it is really helpful because I also think it's quite good for bringing awareness. What I noticed was it was bringing awareness to things that because when something's not right in your life, you get fixated on the thing that's not right, that's missing, that's wrong, don't you? But what it did was it kind of made me look at all of my life and bring my attention to things where I thought, actually that's working quite well, and I really like that. I'm not doing that anymore, and it was a really worthwhile. I felt good after I'd done it, so I hope everyone doing it today will feel the benefits, as it were.
Okay, fantastic. So what do people need, Lisa? Pen and paper.
Pen and paper, and then should we tell them what their 8 sections are?
Okay, so if you
mine looks more like an orange.
Oh, hold on now.
Oh, you can't see it because you can't see it because of the background.
Oh, you've got your fandangly thing.
Well, because I'm at someone else's house, so I've just blocked out my background.
Okay, well, I will describe. So if you do need pen and paper, pause the video or the podcast. If you'd like to go grab that, we'll be here waiting for you. And then, so you want to draw a circle and split it into 8. So like a pizza, like a very even pizza. Split it into 8 sections.
I'll have pepperoni on mine, please.
Hawaiian all the way. What are you talking about?
Oh no, have a pineapple. We need to talk about that.
My husband nearly divorced me when he heard that I like pineapple on pizza. Okay, so what are the 8 sections, or will we go through them one by one?
Yeah, let's just label as we go. We'll go around.
Yeah.
Good idea. Good idea.
Okay, so where would you like to kick off, Lisa?
Well, the most positive, highest score on my chart is a 10. And that is really a 10, and that's my spiritual part slice of the pizza.
Okay, wow, 10.
So spiritual. So how would you describe spiritual? Because I would describe that with our connection of all that is, of source, of that which we cannot see, and having some spiritual practices in place, so that you feel connected to that energy. How would you describe it?
Absolutely. I suppose I would be thinking of, how do I feed my soul?
Oh, that's beautiful. Beautiful.
But I would agree there's kind of spiritual practice there. And I think that I've seen all the time with my HSP clients that we have an affinity to what's beyond what we can see, what's beyond the tangible. I think we all have, I was going to say calling, but that's not correct. Like we all have, an affinity is the word. And I suppose it's worth pointing out that spirituality can be whatever that means for an individual. That it can be religious or not religious. It can be so many different things. I think it's quite an individual and private experience in a way, isn't it? It's unique to the person.
Yeah, and I feel like I don't know. I suppose if you've been brought up with religion, mind you, that can have good or bad connotations, can't it? But I'm thinking I wasn't brought up with religion, but I had to surrender a lot of things up when I hit a dark spot, and therefore you have to have belief and faith in something bigger than you when you go to those places. That's kind of how I discovered. That's how I discovered it.
Okay. My spiritual journey would have kind of began, I suppose, very much connected to my energy cleansing and my experience of energy and being an empath and kind of going, oh my God, what is all this? You know what I mean? There was just so much more to my experience of life than was obvious or was tangible, So as I learned to manage my energy, and as I learned to understand maybe the chakra system, that's when I kind of started to explore more and more.
For the people that are playing along with us, what question could we, I'm just thinking out loud, what question could we ask them that would show them where they were in touch with their spirituality and where they weren't? Like where that was a 10 and where that was, less than a 10.
Okay. Well, firstly, I would say, trust whatever intuitive number is coming up immediately from 1 to 10. Don't overthink it. I'm on an 8, by the way, for that one. And I think maybe what question would maybe how do you center yourself? How do you return to yourself?
And I think when my soul is out of alignment, I have really high levels of anxiety. That's how I know that I'm not connected to my soul, or that I'm getting resentful or frustrated. So I'm out of alignment. I'm doing things or saying things or being things that are out of alignment with who I truly am. Frustration, resentment.
Frustration. It's just that kind of element of like nothing's going right and what the hell, and it's funny, you can get there quite quickly, unfortunately, but you can also return to yourself as quickly with that element of self-care, spiritual self-care, I suppose we'd call it. What would that look like for you, Lisa?
Spiritual self-care is getting up, journaling with my tarot cards, walking in nature with the dogs. I'm not a great meditator because I find it really hard to, I just find that hard. That's just not how I get quiet. It's the writing for me. That's how I get quiet. What else? I suppose part of that is sort of connecting with spiritual podcasts and people who are in that kind of world, and like educating myself. And because the world that I live in, I don't know many people that are spiritual. I don't have like an external community, but I have an online community of people that I follow, people that I look up to and learn from, like as mentors, I suppose you could call them.
I'd say that's similar for a lot of people, that they find their tribe initially online, and then maybe extend that to offline. I love meditation. I meditate all the time. I absolutely love it. And if I don't meditate, so the meditation I would do would tend to be maybe connecting to my higher self is something I would do, or morning meditation to kind of set me up for the day.
Lovely.
Even just short 10 minutes just to kind of, I'm exactly where I need to be. Those kind of meditations,
with some nice affirmations. That's lovely.
Yeah, exactly. Some affirmations. There's a few different ones I'm doing at the moment. And then I suppose I bring that through to the Akashic Records meditations that I do, you know, and I'm still very much exploring all of that, which is, I suppose, another level, isn't it? You know, in terms of the spiritual exploration.
Oh, but that fascinates me because I've done an Akashic Records training, and and obviously you have to do, guided visualization for that, which is like meditation. It does blow your mind.
Yeah.
It does blow your mind, doesn't it?
And like, I suppose just for anyone listening who's kind of going, oh, come here, what are you on about? You know what I mean? Like I would
that wouldn't be our listener, Sinead. That wouldn't be our listener.
But I would be like 90% the spiritual, like meditation. I'm there all the time. And then there's a 10% skeptic in me. You know, there's always that voice that's kind of going, really though, really? Are you really kind of finding stuff out from the fifth dimension there, from your past lives? Are you really doing that? You know, but every time I explore it, and every time I follow these guided visualizations and explore what it means to reconnect with my soul's journey, let's say.
Yeah.
I mean, it blows my mind every time. There's this like insight or wisdom. And I always say to myself, look, if it's just me, if it's just my own mind, if it's just my imagination, whatever the source of this wisdom, I don't really care because it's so helpful. Do you know what I mean? So I kind of, that's how I talk to the skeptic and kind of say, it's such a good thing anyway. So does it really matter? You know, because it makes me feel,
it feels good,
expansive. Yeah.
And I think the other thing, when you know that you're high up on your spirituality score, as it were, is all the synchronicities that just show up in your life. Like, so they will be like following the breadcrumbs, so your intuition. Like the blooming house that I'm next door to me that I'm staying in is called Sunflower Cottage, and the name of the protagonist in my new book is called Dolly Sunflower.
No,
and like, so obviously you get all these little like songs and lyrics and all these little things that are robins that pop up at the window, and so that's kind of like the universe. And again, you could go, what are you, nuts, woman, thinking that your nan's a robin and she's just shown up? And you know, but
absolutely, because
there's the language of your intuition, isn't it?
Absolutely. And like there's so much kind of instilled within you, like even through some meditations, I'll have certain songs coming through that I haven't heard in like 10 or 15 years. And like, where's that coming from? So then I kind of go, what are the lyrics to that song? And you know what I mean?
Same.
Right, that's an interesting message. Do you know what I mean? And then it's your interpretation. People, I think, get afraid of this whole realm and reading cards and all the rest, but it's your interpretation that's the most important.
Absolutely. I sometimes wake up in the morning and I find myself singing as I'm boiling the kettle. Haven't switched my phone, or haven't listened to music. I'm like, where the hell's that song coming from? And the same as you, I'm Googling the lyrics and going, oh, that's meant for me today.
Exactly. So many messages. But that's the thing, I suppose. You have to allow yourself to receive the synchronicities. You know, you kind of have to keep a wee eye out for them. And then when you get those little nods from the universe, it's a lovely thing, isn't it?
Makes you more mindful, more present.
Yeah.
You know, keeps your energy grounded, doesn't it? So that's spirituality.
We started off on a good one, huh?
Well, we're both very passionate about that. That's something that we could talk about till the cows come home, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, amazing. Okay, where are we going next?
Recreation or hobbies, things that you like to do that bring you joy.
Which is, for me, very closely related to feeding your soul as well. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Or maybe, I suppose the two overlap in a way. So how are you on that front?
Low, Sinead. All work and no play makes Lisa a dull person.
What is your score?
It's a 5.
Yeah, I've only got a 6. Yeah.
And this yesterday caused me to go down a whole rabbit hole with looking at play. So speaking from the inner child perspective, and I know this is not everyone's perspective, but if you were brought up in a house where you were parentified, so you were a little adult before you should have been, play is very difficult for us. And so I wanted to explore that more and think and basically just going back to when you were a child. And I found this lovely post on Pinterest. It was like 70 ways to have a play date with your inner child. And it was beautiful. And then I went on to find a quiz about your play styles. And I mean, yeah, there's so much that you can research, but it really kind of, even just researching it got me back in touch and was like, oh yeah, I want to go swimming. I used to go swimming every Monday. And oh yeah, I want to go to the beach and paddle my feet in the sea. And I want to play cards. And I want to, like just having fun.
Yeah, that's so interesting. We're going to have to dive deeper into that at some point. That's
I think so.
topic. It's funny you mention all those things because I did that at the weekend. I went swimming with the kids, right?
Oh.
And then we were playing cards for the afternoon. I kind of, I'm a bit like yourself, a little bit too much work and not enough play. You know what I mean? Maybe it's just the stage of life or the stage of our businesses or I don't know what, but
possibly.
You get so committed into, achieving something. But, especially with small kids, you're kind of, I need to take stock here of what they're experiencing right now and enjoy the stage they're at right now, so it's the simple things: swimming, playing cards, playing games, just lying out. Like, it was really sunny last weekend, or the one before that, like really sunny. Like, wow, we need to get the loungers out, what is going on in Donegal. And just lying around with them on top of me, you know what I mean? Just in the garden.
That's lovely.
Yeah.
Like roughhousing, isn't it? Or were they like lolloping all over you? Mummy's hot. Mummy's hot.
Exactly.
Too hot.
Exactly.
I had to actually look up the word fun. Now, this may sound a bit insane.
No,
because
that's good nerd research. I love it.
Well, I wasn't properly nerding out on recreation because obviously I got a low score. So I was like, right, get to it.
Yeah.
But I always thought fun had to be when you were laughing, had to make you laugh. But I looked up fun and it said enjoyment, lighthearted pleasure. And joy was feeling great pleasure and happiness that comes from a sense of well-being, good fortune or success. And I think this is more about, like you said, soul nourishment. It's more about coming from a place of a pleasurable sense of well-being, I think, for recreation.
Yeah, I see what you mean, because I suppose for some people recreation could be, oh well, I play sports or something. I play tennis once a week or
absolutely.
It could overlap with maybe your exercise and your physical fitness. But does it feed your soul? Does it bring you that inner kind of joy? I think that's a good question to ask, it's a lovely thing to connect it back to play, because I would often ask my clients, like, what did you love to do when you were small? What was your thing? For me, it was always dancing and singing and music, and then I don't have half enough of that in my life now at this point. And it's actually something I'm mindful of at the moment. I was looking up salsa classes the other day to see what salsa classes are around. And, I want to get back into kind of songwriting again and that kind of thing. So it's the things that maybe you put on the long finger, isn't it? It's the things you put off because because it's hard to prioritize that inner joy when you have so much other things going on.
Yeah, and adulting is hard. And I think, again, the societal kind of badge of honor is, oh God, I'm so busy and I did all this and I did all that. And it's like, can you just wake up and go, I don't need to dust today, because all the dust will be back by 5 o'clock in the afternoon if you dust in the morning. Can I just let the house be slightly messy and untidy, and let's just do something fun for the day? You've got to kind of let it go. And that, I think, for someone like me who's a neat freak, I'm getting better at it.
Oh, it's funny though. I mean, we're moving into environmental, really, aren't we? If we're talking about the house, will we do that?
Yeah, let's do that.
We're ready to move on. Okay.
Good shift.
Yes, good segue.
I like
that. Okay, so my score for environmental is a 2. A 2. It's low.
Mine is the same.
Wow, a 2.
Yeah.
Oh God, that's very interesting. Okay. Because when you're saying that about just don't be dusting, go do what brings joy to your heart. You know what I mean? I'm kind of going, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But then I'm thinking, if you have a chaotic house, and it's really filthy, and you're, you know, the laundry's piling up and whatever. I mean, my mental health under those conditions, no, you know what I mean? That I'm not sure what part of it is personality or the high sensitivity, or, you know, I think environment very much affects highly sensitive people more so maybe than others. I don't know. What do you think?
Absolutely. Well, as I said to you last week, and I get what you're saying about the whole letting things pile up and letting there be dust. I mean, I tend to dust as I go. You do like naked shower cleaning, and you know, you clean the toilet after you've used it, and then you wipe the sides down every night. You know, I can't, because it's just me on my own. I don't have little people that I have to think about, and you know, and that's another environment entirely, like different environments.
Yeah.
But I am living in a building site at the moment, and it is just horrible. In fact, I was actually going to score this as naught, because if I haven't got, every morning at 8 o'clock, I wake up to the sound of
oh God, Lisa.
And it's vibrating. I'm in my bed. So now I'm having to go to bed earlier to get up earlier so I can get in the shower and get out before they start, because waking up to that every day was just
really hard.
Doing my head in.
That is really tough. Really tough, because that's like overstimulation on the noise, and the vibration, you know, that feeling of a work site, you know, there's kind of an element of danger to it, you know, there's so many layers to that environment.
Smelly, sweary builders, do you mean?
Smelly, sweary builders as well.
Also, I, as an HSP, like a slow start to my day. So I would rather, if I had to be somewhere at 10 o'clock, I would rather get up at 6 o'clock and have all that time to get ready, have my food, have a shower. I want to be prepared, but I want a really slow, maybe that's a slight exaggeration, probably 7:30, but like I want a real slow start to my day.
I mean, a slow start to my day is an absolute dream, like, but when you have kids, you have school, right? School starts at a certain time. Like, and I moved away from the 9 to 5 because I hated rushing to get somewhere for 9 o'clock with the whole rest of the world. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then it's like, oh, the kids are going to go to school for 18 years, right? Shit, we have to do that now, you know what I mean? But anyway, once they get to school, which, look, I can't complain, like the school is like a 5-minute walk from here.
Lovely.
Right? Tottle up the road and the trees, it's beautiful. So it's all good. Then my slow day starts, and I take it very easy, and I allow my energies to settle, and I ease into my day. And if that's at all possible for you as a HSP, I would say to all HSPs, try it, because it totally
absolutely
the energy for the rest of the day, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Like when I used to work with parents, I'd say to them, if you can get up 10 minutes before your kids get up and just sit there and watch the steam from your tea rising in your cup, or gaze out of the window into the garden. And I did a program with parents, and we did that for 30 days. And they said it was life-changing. They had more patience for their kids. They didn't feel rushed. And it's just 10 minutes a day. But then I think that's a cumulative effect. Like it's like putting coins in a piggy bank. Yeah. It kind of builds up over those days. And I think it's just really good to, like you say, reset and ground your energy, really, isn't it?
Well, it's the get up ahead of it element. If you can get up ahead of all of the energy of the day, you're good.
Yeah.
You're good.
Yeah.
But on the environment, so the reason mine is so low particularly is because we're in a rented house, and we've been here for many years, and it's kind of old enough now, and it's a bit damp, and you know, that kind of thing. And we have this dream house on paper that the architect has drawn so beautifully on paper. And we were just getting started at the end of 2019 with this whole process. And then COVID came in and it was put off. And then the prices started, and then the market started. So, you know, it's just not being in my dream house, you know. But it's funny, even our conversation today, I'm hearing myself going, reframe here for a minute, reframe, because my children are happy, they're healthy, they're grounded, they're safe in a lovely family home. Do you know what I mean? And it's kind of like, yes, it's not the dream home. Here I am putting the sunshine on it now, but it's not the dream home, and it feels like it was taken from us a few times, you know, that kind of way. It just was like facing it. But you know, I'm just trying to bring in the gratitude, I suppose. Show what that looks like.
But I'm also going to say to you that that's relative, because having had it all on paper and ready to go, like you say, and then it not happening is back to that frustration again. It's when you feel frustration, you just know that something's off, don't you? Yeah. What else in environment? So I think in environment, like for HSPs, like lighting. So I always light a candle. I don't have bright lights on at night. I've got a little reading light.
No central lights. No.
Candles, not loud noises, nice relaxing music. There's some really nice healing music that you can get on YouTube that I sometimes run through the TV. You know, it's got like a certain vibration to it, so it's healing for like your different chakras. What else? Don't like anything like strong smells. And always want to wrap myself in a blanket at night, like nice soft warm.
Absolutely. It's allowing for the senses to just, you know, have a bit of a rest,
settle,
you know what I mean? So like a bright light in a room that doesn't affect everybody else, but it is affecting you, don't suffer through that. Like, just kind of adjust the lighting, you know, because I think a lot of people go, oh, it's just me, you know, but it's like, no, you can adjust the lighting, everybody else won't even notice, and you'll also be more comfortable. Do you know what I mean? That HSPs are, in my experience, from what I had myself and for observing clients, you know, we're reluctant to put ourselves first. You know what I mean? So I suppose that's just a little bit of encouragement. If you change the lighting, your whole day or evening or experience of a dinner party or something, it will be transformed.
It will. And the other thing is neighbours. So like, it's really interesting because obviously I live in a flat. So sometimes if I don't have anything on, I'm just sort of sitting there quietness. I can hear upstairs telly. I can hear them rowing downstairs. In this house, I'm in a semi-detached house, and I can hear them when they're not there during the day, and I can hear them when they come home. And I'm really tuned in to that. So that I don't know if other people, because like we absorb, if we haven't learned how to ground and protect our energy, we absorb what is in our environment. So I used to call it your muddy puddle. What's in your muddy puddle? Like, what's muddying the water in your puddle that doesn't feel good to you?
That's a lovely way to put it. I live in the middle of nowhere in the countryside,
so it's quiet
for a reason. So yeah, I don't like I don't have any neighbors, you know, it's just trees.
That would be my dream. That's my dream house.
You know,
no neighbors.
But like, you know, at times then you kind of go, oh God, I really miss like being close to more facilities, or, you know, go to nice restaurants. You know, we'd have to travel a bit. Like, we really are in the middle of a beautiful area in Donegal, like in the middle of nowhere. But I don't think I would trade it if I did have the chance again. Do you know what I mean? Because there is so much peace. And I think I'm so used to that now that if I had someone on the other side of a wall, it would take me a while to adapt back to that. You know, but obviously that's the reality for a lot of people, you know. And just one other point on environmental. So I always throw this one out there because people aren't aware of it, but I would have a huge sensitivity to natural light. So I find that I am much more energetic in autumn and winter, believe it or not, when, you know, everyone is experiencing the opposite. And, you know, people will say to me, oh, isn't it great? It's the summer now. It's so vibrant and so energetic. And the amount of light, maybe because we're up in the northwest of Donegal, so it doesn't get dark until, like, at this time of year now, it's close to 11 o'clock. Do you know what I mean? That it's getting dark. So I just feel that my body doesn't let go the melatonin or something. There's no relaxing until it's dark, you know. So I find myself exhausted in the summer months, absolutely exhausted. And as the autumn comes in and the winter comes in, I feel energized. It's mad. So, you know, you can be affected. I think it's called reverse seasonal affective disorder. You know what I mean? It does exist. I'm just putting it out there because, like, you know, the seasons can affect us. Nature affects us. You know, the moon affects us. The environment of the earth affects us. And if that's the case, then look after yourself on that. Like, I couldn't go anywhere in these months without sunglasses, or I'd be half asleep.
See, I can relate to what you're saying, but mine is more from a temperature perspective, which is also your environment, because it's so comfortable you are. So being a sensitive little English rose that I am with my ginger hair and freckles, I cannot be in the sun for very long. But
Right.
I like to be covered up. I like to, like, I've got one of these portable blankets that I wear where I want to hold a hot water bottle. And that is my favourite way to be when I'm relaxing at home. I hate in the summer because I can't do that. I don't like sleeping without the covers on. I mean, obviously, when you were a kid, you were like, don't put your foot out of the bed because the monsters will get you. But then as you get older, it's just more about, I want to be covered up. I don't want to be, I don't know, I don't want to be naked.
No, well, it's the feeling of security.
Yeah, it's the heldness. Yeah.
And like, I've seen many memes online where I'm just kind of nodding and smiling for HSPs. Like their favorite time of the day is like getting into bed at night.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's kind of like, and like it's the same. It's the same for me. Like, and Charlie's always laughing at me. Like, it's just like, oh, I'm so happy. By the end of the day, you get into the bed, like, so there's a safety element to it, or a blanket under the couch or whatever it is. Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's environment.
Right. So what's next?
So business, work, this is your domain.
Fun.
Mine is low. Mine is a 4.
Okay, I'm at a 5 at the moment.
Okay.
So kind of at a midpoint myself. So do you want to tell us about your 4?
Yeah, well, I'm just I can feel, I think I've sort of alluded to it on here before, I can feel that I'm shifting away from maybe coaching into a more of a teaching role, but more of a creative teacher, where that element of writing, which I absolutely love, and it just does feed my soul. If I could do that all the day long and teach it to other people, then that would be a joy. But it means letting go of certain elements of my business and like making the shift. And as I make that shift to kind of support myself, I've taken on like the dog sitting and other bits and pieces. And actually, to my surprise, I'm welcoming that break in, because maybe I was a little bit burnt out, or, like I needed that space. So I don't think it's 4 in a that 4 isn't negative. That 4 is exactly where I need to be right now. And I'm looking forward to moving up on that trajectory, to an 8, 9, 10. But I'm just thinking, I'm just going to enjoy being here. Bit of a beginner's mindset, I would say, which I always struggle with, because there's so many unknowns. And I'm Googling everything, and I'm like, oh, what am I going to call this? And what colour is that going to be? So it's exciting, but also a lot of unknowns can kind of knock me off my perch a little bit.
Okay, yeah. I mean, that's really exciting. And like, I can relate to that. And I suppose the way that I would describe it from the career coaching point of view, or from how I help my clients, right? So I always talking about what I call the alignment code, right? Where you have 3 elements, right? One is your identity and your sense of yourself. One is energy management, so how your energy flow is, and then the other is aligned action, right? And so in the area of aligned action, there's kind of growth and expansion and momentum forward, and moving forwards, let's say in your career, whether that's your business or your work. But the thing is, no matter how far you go there, you have to circle back. It's cyclical, you know what I mean? So you will circle back to like, okay, oh, who am I now? So that I've achieved all this, or that I've
so they all feed in. Yes, I see.
And then you're back going, oh God. So you're back to, okay, where's my identity at now? And how do I define myself now? And what do I want for the future? What are my goals now? And then you have to move into what energy is required to support that.
Yes, absolutely.
And then you're back aligned, you're back around to aligned action. And aligned action is action that it feels good, it moves you forward, there's no hustle involved. And sometimes you have to be at a 4 or 5 to be patient, to wait for that inspiration, so that you know for sure that the action you're taking feels good.
Yes.
Yeah. Does that make sense?
Thank you.
Yeah, cool. Like, and I've seen that happen even with clients that I've had kind of relatively long term, that they'll come back around and they might get frustrated, kind of going, but I had it sorted. Like it was fine. I was, and I'll say, yeah, but you're back around now. And that's it. That's cyclical for life. There's no point at which our growth and expansion and learning actually stops, which is a
No.
great thing, you know. So maybe we're in a similar place, you know, we're both kind of going, okay, where's our identity at the moment, you know?
Yeah.
And maybe that's what inspired us to start this podcast, to kind
I
of
think you might be right, you know.
explore that, you know, and see where we're going. But that's where you have to, just to, I suppose the most important point is that you have to call in trust. You just have to trust where you're at.
Yeah.
And that can be hard sometimes. I find that can be challenging, especially when you want to be moving forward, you want to be getting the next thing done, you know?
Yeah, and I think that trust can feed into your relationships, because if you've got supportive people around you, sorry, I'm just jumping onto another pie. We're not finished with business yet, but I'm thinking they all feed into one another. Like if you've got supportive people around you, if you're taking care of your health, if you're connected to your spiritual self, if you're still having enough time to play, because as I said to you before, like I can get really fixated on, oh, that's not right, and getting frustrated and impatient, and then I know that it's time to like not give up on it, step away from it, have a rest, ground, center, and then come back to it. And that's what this bank holiday, I think, what started off this whole wheel of life. That's what this bank holiday was about for me, I think.
Lovely. Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I'm sure we'll talk about creativity a lot in other episodes. But it's very important to, you know, kind of multitask, you know, they call it kind of slow motion multitasking, where you're doing lots of things. So that you can step away and then realize by doing something else, then your creativity for the original task has increased. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, that's the part you have to trust, isn't it? The stepping back.
But I would say it's a 4, because if it was any less than a 4, then that would be a stuckness, and it's not a stuckness. It's the energy's moving, and I can see, as I say, I don't know what's on the path ahead, but I'm on the path. So that's great.
Yeah, that's cool. And I suppose for anyone listening, if you are getting less than a 4, if you are feeling stuck, then definitely start with your knowledge of yourself. And start with a vision of life that you do want to have, you know. Definitely dream big, dream first, you know, and allow yourself to be expansive in that way first. Because you can't take action without doing that first.
No, and I created a journal, a little cheeky plug called This Is My Life. And I created it last month, and I've been using it for myself, because it is about creating that dream life, having the vision. And then there's daily check-in sheets and things to do that so you're taking aligned actions, you would call it, on that path. Yeah, so
Okay.
might drop that in the comments below if people want to check that out.
You know, we for each of our episodes, I think, you know, we'll put in some resources below, because we both have all kinds of tips and toolkits and, you know, things to offer. So absolutely, we'll do that. That sounds brilliant.
So you're in this. Do you want to talk a bit more to your business, or do you want to move on to personal growth?
Let's move on to personal growth. I think they're very related, aren't they?
Well, they are for us, aren't they? Like one feeds the other one, doesn't it?
As business owners, 100%. Well, I suppose for people who are very much passionate about their career, or where their values come into play in terms of maybe accomplishment on that side of things, I suppose it would be very much related as well, you know?
But have you found, because I have, in the 10 something years I've been in business, that the more I'm stronger in my identity and the more I'm aligned with my energy, the happier I am, and therefore that things get into flow then.
Absolutely. That's why you have to do those things first. Absolutely. Like you can't think your way to where you want to be only, you know?
No, and it can't be about the money either. That I've read this in so many different pieces of literature and books and courses. If you focus on the money, you're actually creating a business out of survival mode, and therefore it doesn't have any longevity. If you create money from values and energy alignment and from your joy, so that, you know, that would be for me the spirituality and the creative element, then it's got legs.
Absolutely. It's the difference, isn't it, between coming from a place of service and inspiration. And I think as energy workers, light workers, healers, coaches, And a lot of HSPs who are drawn to very heartfelt work, you know what I mean? I think it's natural for us. Do you know what I mean? To be inspired by the service. But we have to watch the money side at the same time, because we have to function in the world. We have to be part of the world, you know, so there's a little bit of balance that needs to be brought in, because it's, you know, I suppose it's quite well known that the healers of the world maybe are the ones that are feeling nearly guilty that they're charging for their offering, you know, because it's their natural place to be, you know. So it's about the balance there, don't you think?
Yeah, and I've seen people really being taken to task online for like, how dare you charge for that? And it's like, well, do you go to work for free then? Because no one else does, because that's the way of the world. But people get all up in the comments and saying, oh, you're charging that for a course. And it's like, well, actually, we're very lucky because we go to school for free in this country, or some people pay to go privately. But like, if you're investing in yourself, then there is like, money's just energy. There's an energetic exchange between you and the person that is your teacher, your mentor, your guide, your healer, isn't there?
No, absolutely. And that's the thing, you know, people, I guess, are used to consuming a lot for free now.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the model we're all used to. And I have free masterclasses and stuff myself, you know what I mean? It allows me to meet people, to interact with people, to show people my value. Absolutely. But if they are going to be having, you know, availing of my time and my expertise, which is 20 years of it now, then, you know, there has to be a cost to that. There has to be I have to put value on that.
Yeah, absolutely. So what did you write down as your score for personal growth?
So I'm at a 7 there. What are you at?
Yeah, I put 8, because I feel like a bit what you were saying about the information overload. For me, it's less about consuming information, even though I am Googling new things. It's more about embodying it for me. So I'm, you know, like dropping down into the body and taking aligned action, as you would say, I think. I don't want to read any more self-help books. I actually this weekend have been reading a romance novel called Miracle on Fifth Street, which is like the cheesiest.
Oh my God.
But it just takes me back to being like 18 on the beach, like reading that kind of. See, there you go. That's recreational. That's you tuning into your inner teenager, not your inner child.
Yeah, no, but it's funny you say that, like, because like I am terrible for nerding it up, and all the books that I read at night, you know, they're all either based on psychology or energy, or, you know, they do have a connection to my work. Like, and it was actually, my sister recently was like, would you not just get lost in a book and relax a bit?
It's such a beautiful thing.
You know, that stayed with me. And it's funny because I was thinking, what book would I even buy? Like, you know, I don't read novels. You know what I mean? I need to kind of get into that world of incredible fiction. You know, so if anyone has any suggestions where I could start, let me know.
Sinead,
romance novels.
I could send you a few. Well, I was going to say, perhaps I could send you a few chapters of my new book and see what you think.
Well, exactly. What have you got a name for your new book?
I have, but it's a working title. It's called Murder Most Narcissistic.
Oh,
it was actually going to be called Murder Most Mystic, because it's, you know, psychic sleuthing. So I think you'd like it. But
so if those two titles were on the shelf, I'd be reaching for
the mystic one.
I would be, but then that's what I'm trying not to do, is it not? I'm trying to move away from that. But right. And are you kind of feeling settled on those titles now, or, you know, where are you at with those? Or maybe you don't want to discuss it in such a forum.
No, I started mocking up covers in Canva, and I still like Murder Most Mystic, but yeah, I suppose that would attract in the right audience. But basically, she is an amateur sleuth, which they all are. Like, think about Jessica Fletcher in Murder, She Wrote. It's that kind of thing. But it's also a bit more kind of Bridget Jonesy. So it's not little old lady. It's like, and she's in a love triangle. So there is like a romantic element to it as well. But you want something, like your sister said, that's like, I don't even think you want a thriller, a psychological thriller late at night if you're an HSP. You want something light, like you would love it. It's all light and fluffy. Like, I went to bed last night thinking, because it's all set in New York and that's like my favorite city in the world, and I was thinking, oh, I'd love to go on a trip to New, it just takes your brain to a different space, doesn't it?
Well, like when I was younger, I used to read all the time, especially when I was traveling a lot. It was just constant book after book after book, and
Yeah,
it's a
same.
lovely, peaceful place to be. Absolutely.
I think I've had to put boundaries. So again, this is about personal growth, because the other thing was that I was consuming like snippets of information. I think we talked about this before on social media. And it was just frying my brain, Sinead. Whereas it's so nice to be able to put the phone down, pick up a book, get lost in another world that isn't like 50,000 people's thoughts coming at you for 2 hours.
It's huge. Like I was in a really bad pattern a couple of months ago of scrolling and doing that, and we absorb it all, you know what I mean? And there's
We absolutely
all the different layers, and then the dopamine thing where you're like, oh, maybe the next one's gonna be better, maybe the next, and you're just constantly looking for that gem, and you're like, what am I doing? And you can actually break that pattern more easily than you think. You know what I mean? Just leave the phone out of the bedroom, and there's this peace comes upon the whole room.
Doesn't it? It's almost
amazing.
like playing the slot machines. I feel like once I click on that Instagram thing, I feel like I'm down the pier on the slot machines, and I'm thinking this is going to end badly. You're not going to have any pocket money to buy any ice creams when it's all finished. It's just it's that kind of energy, isn't it? Where it seems like a good idea at the time, but then you can't stop.
Yeah, that's the problem. There is no end to the 2 cents that you've got to put in. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's I think a lot of people are caught up in that. A lot of people are caught in that place. That's kind of it's just the way that our society has gone. And like I was one of the first people to talk about like in my own life, like about online businesses, and oh my God, like, we can connect to other people from anywhere in the world. And it was just such an amazing opportunity in my eyes when I was younger.
Yes.
And, and I still appreciate it, but there needs to be a balance for personal growth between the online world and in real life world. And that's why I was looking up like salsa classes and stuff, because it's like, it's time that I also progress and develop offline. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. And that was part of my recreational, like going and meeting a group and having a hobby, like a writing class, or I think I said to you before, I went to the Women's Institute, and like just trying to meet new people. But the other thing I think is a danger to HSPs online, not a danger because everyone can manage their own lives. I know we're all adults, but like I feel like there's a danger of consuming that information, and it feels like you're in therapy, but you don't want to be in that space all the time. Like even when you're in therapy, you need to come away from it and let that percolate. And also remembering that memes that you see on the internet are not therapy. You're just feeding your mind new information. So yes, you're opening your mind up, you're educating yourself, but really to heal, you need to get in the body, and you're not in the body if you're scrolling on your phone. And I'm saying that not wagging my finger at people. I'm saying that for myself as much as for anyone else, because that's why I've gone back to books, because I'm like, I don't want these like nuggets of wisdom thrown at me all that I feel like then I'm on and switched on to work all the time, and I can't be. It's not good for me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's such a good point. I think we can be so knowledge thirsty,
which
lifelong learners, you know what I mean?
Curious,
conscientious, the classic HSP who just wants to know more about everything. But yeah, you can be in that place of input all the time.
Yes.
And then you're just receiving the information all the time. But when you don't do anything with it, I mean, that energy builds up. You're absolutely right. And that's exactly where I was recently enough. And I'm not really sure how I got there again. You know what I mean? It's funny, you can find yourself there suddenly because maybe you are searching for an answer to one specific problem. And then you can find that you're down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, but going back to your 3 identity, energy management and aligned coach, you start off, I think, with the identity, like you say, looking for a who am I, looking to see yourself reflected back in a post or an answer to a question. Then your energy gets mashed up, and then you don't take any alignment action, and you stay stuck, and you're just stuck, like your wheels are spinning, which is what a freeze response is. A freeze response is like where your brain is going overtime. It's just like overstimulated, but your body doesn't want to do anything. It's like one foot on the gas, one foot on the brakes, isn't it? And that, I think is why we talk about people being zombies walking around with their phones, because that's how the energy feels. It feels heavy and not present, and doesn't it?
Yeah, oh, you're so right. And like people can get
I'm
stuck
so right,
there
but it
for
doesn't mean I
years.
get it right all the
No, well, this is
time.
like, I mean, physician heal thyself, you know. If I could apply all of my knowledge, all of my wisdom, you know, but we can't do that for ourselves. That's the whole point. That's why we do need support. We do need communities and a tribe of people who get us,
Absolutely.
you know, to be able to reflect it all back. Otherwise, we do just stay in that rabbit hole in our minds, you know. So
that takes us on to the next segment of relationships.
oh, very good. Okay.
I am going to put 8 for my relationships.
I'm an 8 as well.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Gas. Right. Go on.
I feel like I have a very tight-knit group of friends. I feel like I have good colleagues that support me in my business. I have an excellent therapist and supervisor. And I have a sort of a bit more of a wider community now in terms of like all the people I've met through dog sitting, and I'm very content with that, and that is actually enough for me. So before I discovered I was an HSP, I'd be a life and soul of the party type gal, always got a fag in one hand and a glass of rosé in the other. I'd be organising what we're doing this weekend, everyone. Right, we're going to meet here, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do that. And no, you'll find me on the sofa with a rom-com novel, a dog, and a blanket.
So you were actually very extroverted back then. Were you pushing yourself to be like that?
Because that's what I was told I was. I think because I'm such a chatterbox, I was more of a chatterbox than I am now. I think people assume that I'm extroverted, but I've worked out that I talk a lot because of my anxiety, and I talk a lot to be seen. And as I get more comfortable with who I am, I don't need to talk as much, even though I still talk quite a lot.
You have a lot to say. You have a lot of wisdom. Okay, so I mean, I can relate to that as well, because like that's how I kind of make sense of the introversion extroversion thing, because you know, I would be INFP in the, you know, in the, on the personality, you know, and but at the same time I'm very extroverted, you know, and you know, when we do go out, which is rare enough, but that's the stage of life I'm at. I have 2 small kids, whatever, you know. When we do go out, last standing always. You know what I mean? Last out of the pub. And it's like, why do we also have to be last out of the pub? But we're last out because it's so rare, maybe, I don't know. But the recovery that's required now after, you know what I mean? It's off the charts, like off the charts. You know, I know they say maybe when you get into your 40s or whatever, but like the HSP thing as well. And I would always say to my clients, like, you know, if you've had a really intense 2 or 3 days of socializing or late nights or whatever, you need the same amount of time again to recalibrate, to come back to center, like, without a doubt, you know. And I'm just seeing that more and more. So I wonder then, it's like, well, is it extroversion? Is it introversion? You know, am I the ambivert in the middle? Or is it just that energy management was different at a different stage of my life? Like, you know, you can't really compare the days of your 20s, you know, to the days of 2 small kids. And, you know, it's a different stage of life, you know.
Absolutely. And before I got into therapy, let me tell you, I couldn't be on my own. So like the reason I was surrounded by people is because I didn't want to be on my own, because of all the happenings that were going on up here that I couldn't switch off. But the minute I got into therapy, it was when I discovered that I was an introvert, and actually I wanted alone. I actually needed alone time. That's really wise.
Alone time.
Absolutely. And that's such wise advice that you say for every hour that you're socializing, you need the same amount of time to recover. That's such wise advice.
It's true, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes more.
Sometimes more, depending on what's going on in all the other slices of your pizza.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, depending on what's going on, you will need more, and then and more sleep, you know.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of HSPs try to get on with it and try to just muddle through and toughen up, you know. You do need more sleep. You do need alone time. You do need unstructured time, you know.
Absolutely.
You need to just calm everything, in response to, you know, there has to be that balance, and recalibration is the best word that I can find for that.
I mean, I love nothing more than having a bath in an early night. Like that, like you say, that whole getting into bed thing is just such a
I know.
that I can't wait. But also the other thing I find with HSPs, because we need more time to make transitions. So like we were saying, like we need a slow start to the day. I feel like we also need time to decompress.
Mm-hmm.
So one thing I used to do, which I was terrible at, which I don't do anymore, is I'd work until about 10:30, 11 o'clock. And then I'd get into bed and I'd be buzzing, I'd be wired.
Absolutely.
And I need a good like 2 or 3 hours to kind of like, and that's why I phone out the bedroom, switch the tech off and just come back to yourself and just remember who you are and be in your body. And
I was doing that for a long time too. Like I suppose I wouldn't have, this is why I give out about the summer as well, because it's bright for so long that the kids won't go to bed. You know what I mean? So
right.
You know, that's another thing. I'm sure all parents can relate. You know, it's like, go to bed. Oh my God, it's 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
You know, so in these months, then the time that you might get to yourself tends to disappear. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I kind of have to, like, I mean, I would love to have 2 or 3 hours where there's that space, but I mean, it's just not going to,
don't have it.
It's just not going to happen. So I try to protect maybe 30 to 60 minutes. Do you know what I mean? And if I can do that and then get to bed at a reasonable hour, because I'm a night owl as well, which is annoying. But
are you? Yeah.
Oh yeah. I like my natural rhythm would be to stay up, but I can't do that because the kids need to get to school.
No.
You know what I mean? So I try to give myself that time, and then if I do get to bed early enough, oh my God, it's such an accomplishment. It's like, oh my God, I check out the clock. You know what I mean?
But I suppose not having the alone time, but then winding down with their routine, like you're probably doing like dinner and bath and story time and all of that. That is an element of you winding down. I know it's not time to yourself, but that is kind of. But I suppose when you're still with them, so you're still switched on as mummy, are you? Is that what you're saying?
Well, like as in, you know, trying to get a really enthusiastic 5-year-old to bed.
Child.
You know, it's not always like, you know, we would always have you know, dinner and calm down and get to bed and story and a song, and you know, there is a lovely routine that I suppose does give me those signals, is what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
But at the same time, no, you're still switched on until you know they're okay, because they tend to have bedtime as their little, like, you know, are you okay? How was your day? Is everything okay? What's on your mind? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You kind of have to be able for that before
for that. Yeah.
I mean, so
yeah.
Yeah, I find, just as a point in relationships, that as a HSP, the most challenging part of being highly sensitive for me is parenting. And I just want to say that to all you may be listening, because it's very, you know, it's the part that you don't want to change. You know what I mean? It's not as if you want to change being a parent, like, you know, but there's a huge draw on your time and your energy, and you know, so yeah, just go easy on yourself as a parent if you're
and your emotions. And your emotions.
And then if your kids, which is, it's likely that your kids might be HSP as well, you know, it's hereditary. So, you know, there can be things bouncing around from all kinds of HSPs under the one roof. You know what I mean? So it's it's a dance, you know. But I think the Dr. Elaine Aron's book, you know, on being a highly sensitive parent is well worth a read for anyone who's.
Oh, is that a good one? Is it? Yeah. I'm just thinking, put you all in a blanket fortress so that you can all kind of like decompress together.
Well, exactly. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, there's loads of blankets on the couch. I'll tell you that. Oh, okay, brilliant.
Did you used to do that as a kid, Sinead? Did you ever used to make like tents, you know, like take the cushions off the sofa and like put blankets over the top, and or with the deck chairs in the garden,
fortresses,
make like a tent? Yeah.
And that still happens. I mean, there's some Saturdays I will get up and the whole sitting room will just be like, what's going on here? You know,
bomb's gone off.
They're somewhere within some sort of structure. Although usually it's Charlie who's helped with that too. He's just as bad.
He's a bad influence. Charlie, you're a mess maker. fun daddy. Right, so the last one, which I
Last
suppose is
one.
a really, really important one, because health is wealth, as they say,
Oh,
which
wow,
I
yeah.
truly believe it is. Health.
Health.
What
I
did you
mean,
put down for health?
it is huge. I have a 7 there at the moment.
I have a 7 as well, because my mental health is good, but my physical health, so my weight,
Yeah.
is changing because of my age.
Mm-hmm.
My body's changing shape, and I'm really having to focus more on well, again, it's getting back in the body, listening to the body. Am I hungry, or am I just eating because I'm bored or upset, or and also this water.
Water, magical.
So dehydrated,
Oh,
like a
that's
camel
yeah.
with the
Well,
hump.
look at weight has been an issue for me for many years now, and it's very, very frustrating, and I see a lot with HSPs. There's a lot of kind of chronic conditions or ailments or complaints or aches and pains, and I think that, we do have what they would call maybe a lower threshold to pain, but that sounds like we're weaker. We're not. We're actually stronger because we're more sensitive to absolutely everything. But I do think that when it comes to our health, it's so closely related to, I mean, they're all related. Your mental, physical, spiritual, emotional, intellectual health, they all go hand in hand. And I would be the same as yourself. It's always physical health that would be the kind of the bugbear for me. The emotional health, I'm very good at looking after. Spiritual health, mental health, I'm very aware of it. That can be up and down sometimes, but physical health can be really frustrating, but sorry.
So I was going to say the other thing going on about the weight thing. So Doreen Virtue of Hay House Days, do you remember the angel lady?
Yeah, I do.
She wrote a book called Constant Craving, and she said sensitive people that are empathic or psychic, often have put on weight as a way of protecting themselves.
100%.
So and I noticed that the more and more I do this work, the more work I've gained over the years, and I'm beating myself up and saying, well, you eat too much and it's your age and all this, but actually I can actually see myself on videos on YouTube where I'm carrying weights because I'm carrying all the stuff I've absorbed that belongs to other people. Do you know what I mean? I can see it in my face. My face feels that. And then I watch other videos and I go, oh, look, I'm much happier there. I can see that I'm happy. I can actually tell you the times when I'm happy and not, judged on how big my face is.
But we can't underestimate, obviously for women, the infradian cycle. So the world is built for the circadian cycle. They have 24 hours, how the male hormonal body works. And we don't function like that. We have a 28-day cycle for a lot of our lives. And then that changes. And then that's because that comes into question. You know what I mean? So trying to function, especially as a HSP, in this kind of robotic, I need to be the same every week. It's not going to work. And since I started to really embrace the infradian cycle, so, the kind of the spring, summer, autumn, and winter of the cycle, I've even started to kind of match my recipes and my food to the different weeks.
That's lovely.
It's been a game changer for me recently, because I've always had a lot of issues in that area. And it's like, oh my God, just more sleep and more water and more exercise. Right food and the right nourishment.
Back to basics. Plant in the greenhouse. We're planting a greenhouse. What are you not getting? What are you not getting? Because the weight thing. I also think being online and being visible, which is not always easy, even though it might seem that way when you see me online. Very conscious of the way that I look, not from a vanity perspective at all. But it's about feeling good for me. Like if my clothes feel tight, or if my face does feel puffy, or I feel dehydrated, I don't want to get on camera and be light and soul of the party.
Absolutely.
It's hard.
Then if you are in that place and you do have an online business, then you're kind of feeling like I can't seem to get my voice out there, and sometimes it can be that well, I don't feel like going on camera today because I don't look a certain way, and then you'll have messages of people saying, well, just be yourself, you don't have to look anyway. And then you have other people saying, oh, your personal brand is very important and you need to show up in the way that that you're offering value, and all these messages that are all the time coming. And at the end of the day, you're right, it's about how you feel. But I find I'm the exact same. It's very hard to relay and communicate the message I want to communicate if I'm not feeling good about myself. Like, obviously that's going
but
to
that impacts your identity and your energy. Like,
yeah.
I feel like when people listen to this podcast, I want them to feel our energy. I want them to feel our warmth. I want them to feel us being real and real people, as much as we're knowledgeable coaches and experts in our field. And you can't mask up and pretend to be something you're not, because people can feel energy. Like, for those of you listening, like those people that you look at on Instagram or on YouTube and they make your hairs on the back of your neck stand up, there's a reason for that. Like that, their energy, it doesn't feel like, their actions don't match their words. They're not congruent with their energy.
Well, exactly. And just when you're saying that, I'm picturing there was one person I was following recently. She's fantastic. She's here in Mayo, and she talks a lot about the nervous system and nutrition. Becca Holland. And she was talking about, one day she was saying, this is what a normal house looks like, and she was just kind of saying, there's toys in the corner and there's crap on the counter, and sometimes when we're consuming all these beautiful, perfect environments and perfect kitchens, and, you kind of think, oh my God, like, how could I ever, but for the majority of people, like, behind all of what you see is just a normal house. Like, it's a normal home.
And I do also think, like, going into the whole being online and being visible to people, there's that whole element of getting feedback, which isn't always feedback. Sometimes it's unsolicited advice and sometimes it's criticism. Like, people who have crap boundaries online, they don't realize when it's appropriate to comment and when it isn't. Sometimes I don't see that on my page. I'm very fortunate, I've got lots of lovely people following me, but I'm talking about in the comment section on certain people's pages. Is so telling. You're just like, why would you even say that to a person? If you were standing in front of them in the street, would you tell them they were fat? No, you wouldn't. That's rude.
I know, it's mad, isn't it? Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just like, where's someone's head at when they're doing that?
I've been lucky enough now so far. Although they do say if you don't have enough criticism online, you don't have enough visibility or something, don't they? But
that could be a thing, right? That makes sense, doesn't it?
That would make sense for me and you, because we have a niche audience. There's a certain person that I work with, you know what I mean? And it's not the masses. It's not all the people online, you know what I mean? So there's a little corner of the internet that I like.
I was going to say, I would say it would be quite common that an HSP doesn't feel seen. That if you're an HSP listening to this, that you could feel invisible because you feel different to other people and you're very aware of your differentness.
Yeah.
And I have been doing some work around that on myself, and I don't know if it's helpful to the people listening, but my advice to myself was, see yourself first. And I've been trying to do Louise Hay's 21 Days of Mirror Work. Can I do it? Can I fudge?
No, I can't.
Or Sinead, I can't do it. It's so hard.
Yeah, but it's like, and I hate to say that, but like, culturally speaking, I don't know, maybe is it more easier for Americans to do that? I don't know. It's just, I guess as an Irish person, it's just kind of like, no, I'm not doing that. You know what I mean? I don't know.
No, it doesn't feel natural to me. I'm very good at speaking. My self-talk is much more kinder and compassionate, and we sort of started off by saying that today. I mean, that's as far as it goes for me. And like, if I look in the mirror and I'm cleaning my teeth and I make eye contact with myself, I can smile at myself now, and like, not 50,000 negative thoughts spark up in my head telling me what a terrible person I am.
Yeah, but that's
enough. I think that's enough.
Like, that would be kind of spontaneous. It's kind of like saying hello to yourself, and it's
yeah,
taken in. But like, this kind of convoluted say certain things, like, that's never worked for me.
No, and affirmations don't work for me for the same reason, because a lot of the verbiage, like the language used, is just not how I would talk. It sounds so kind of like like that lovely affirmation that you were saying, that you say in the morning, that's love. I can't remember what you said now, but it was lovely. It really resonated with me.
Oh, just like I'm exactly where I need to be.
Yeah, that.
Yeah, I can link that meditation below. It's just one on YouTube.
Yeah, that's lovely. But I can't look at myself and tell myself the things that she's asking me to tell myself.
Yeah, no, it's pretty tough.
I actually think that is a cultural thing. I think you're right, actually. Now, I'm glad we talked about it, because that is that, isn't it? Because I was thinking,
I think so. There's
cringe.
That kind of the way Americans are just so enthusiastic and kind of
And out there,
and
yeah,
and that's amazing. It's amazing, but it's just not a natural place for Irish people in general.
It's who they are, and it's how they're raised, and it's not how we're raised. It's just very different, like you say, culturally.
Yeah, I think so. But that's not to say that self-care and self-talk is not important. You know what I mean?
Oh, no, and I think that's part of health.
Self-talk in a very nurturing way, but real talk, like this podcast, you have to find a place where you're being honest with yourself as well.
Yeah, you must. I was going to say, the other thing about health is, for HSPs, is movement.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how slow it is. It doesn't matter how slow it is, whether you just go for a really leisurely walk, or a slow swim, or a slow dance, or you just sway. Like, if I don't move my body every day, my energy easily gets stuck.
It's so true. And I would fall into that, that trap of I'm just so busy now. Oh, and I need to get to work, and and then you turn, as someone said to me once, you turn chair shaped, like she's just constantly at the bloody computer, or you're doing something in the house,
Yeah.
and it's really not good for us. And I started working with a personal trainer a few months ago, because I could feel my muscles, I could feel that kind of weakness, that kind of just not using them, and it's like all my whole body and all my muscles were like, thank you for doing that. Yeah. Even though it's torture, and he knows it's torture because I tell him all the time, but even though it's torture, there is a kind of there's a gratitude or something from my muscles kind of saying, yeah, this was needed. So but as you say, like, for me, the most beautiful is Qigong and Tai Chi. They're my favorite, like the movement and the energy cleanse in Tai Chi and Qigong. It can't be matched for me. I've never got into yoga to the same degree, so I don't know. I can't really speak to yoga, but the energy cleansing that you can get from the most beautiful, gentle movements is phenomenal.
It's nice, really nice.
Yeah, really amazing.
I did Kundalini yoga. See, I think my energy is much more. I don't do that soft, gentle energy.
Okay,
like
right.
I'm taking the dog for a brisk walk, or I'm dancing around the front room. And when I did Kundalini, I love it because you do like the breath of fire, and there is slow movement in it, but there's a lot more like shifting things out. Like, my energy needs. I keep thinking I must go to kickboxing. Like, my energy wants to kind of. I also, I think it would really activate a bit of a healthier fight response in me and get me in touch with more healthy anger. But definitely, like moving my body, definitely.
But it's interesting because the basis of Tai Chi is very much a martial arts. So there are sudden movements at times to release that energy from your system. You know what I mean? So maybe you should be looking at the martial arts.
I'm thinking that because, well, the other day I was also looking at going back to Zumba, because I just love it. It's Zumba, silly, fun.
Let's go back to that too. I wonder, is there any around?
The lady around here does it in the dark with glow sticks, so it's like raving. It's like raving.
Oh, that sounds like fun. Yeah. Dancing's the way. Like, I did a lot of dancing in my younger years.
Yeah.
Salsa and West Coast swing. I did in France for a while. It was so cool. Oh my God. So yeah, I need to look into that. So
yeah,
there's loads of suggestions there anyway for everyone today to
I hope that's helpful.
Improve their wheel of life. I hope it's helpful indeed. And if anyone has any questions or comments, please, we'd love to hear from you. or any areas you'd like us to discuss in more detail, please let us know.
Yeah. And if you feel brave enough, if you're watching this on YouTube, put your scores in the comments below. Like, no shame, no shade. Like, just to hear, because I think if you see someone else's scores, then you don't feel so like Sinead and I backwards and forwardsing with each other. And actually knowing that a low score is sometimes where you need to be in order to move on to the next chapter. And it's not about always being a 10. You don't have to always be a perfect 10.
No, as in, if it was all a perfect 10, you know, and you were rolling along, you wouldn't have the actual human experience. So we don't want that, especially as HSPs, you know, our soul's journey is here to experience. So absolutely, it's going to go up and down.
All right. So that feels like a good place to leave it today, Sinead.
Perfect. Excellent. Well, thanks, Lisa, for your lovely company as usual.
It's been a pleasure. I've really enjoyed it. And I will see you next week, same time, same place.
Same time, same place. Love it. Okay. See you there.
See you later.
Thanks everyone.
Bye. Bye.